Hi, Statesman Nation. I'm here with Drew Sams, the head men's wrestling coach here at William Penn, as we preview the 2025-2026 season. Coach, before we talk about 25-26, let's recap last year, your first year at the helm. So, all the goods and the bads.
Yeah, I mean, last year is definitely a learning year, kind of a learning experience for us as a program and me as, first-time head coach. So, I think, like you said, there's goods and bads. Obviously, over the last year, we were able to make strides in, recruiting guys that we're bringing in, helping fill some holes in the lineup. And, I think just looking back to last season, I was lucky that I inherited some, really talented wrestlers who were able to, kind of step up and, kind of be some, a nice solid piece to our lineup. And, especially with a down year kind of recruiting the previous year, just getting the job, and, recruiting was pretty scarce. So, we weren't able to bring in a lot of guys. So it was nice to have a few guys that, were able to step up and, kind of, solid guys in the lineup. And, obviously those include our 3 national qualifiers. Sent 3 guys to the tournament. It stinks that we couldn't get them, pushed through to, an All-American status. But I think just, looking at last season, I like to judge myself on growth. Are we growing from where the program was the year before? Or, when I'm going to look at this season, are we growing from where we were last year? So, last year, 3 guys at the tournament, 2 guys finishing in the blood round. I thought that was pretty successful for where we were at year 1. But, obviously still not good enough, in my eyes. So, obviously, we got to keep growing. I think we brought in, some great pieces, some great keys. I'm excited to, we're going to push some dudes through to All-American this year, and, we're going to see how far we can climb as a program.
There you go. All right, let's talk about that off season. Looking to fill up holes. What were you looking for in your recruits? And then we can talk about them as we go weight by weight. But
yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things to me is, a lot of coaches recruit by weight class and say, hey, I need guys at XYZ weight. That's what I'm bringing in. I recruit by, are you going to be a good fit to my program? Or are you going to help grow our culture? I mean, that's really what we need right now is we need guys who are going to come in, they're going to work hard, they're going to be good fits in our culture. So that's really what I look for as I'm bringing guys in. Obviously, I want to bring in talented guys. So we do go, bring in some guys that are, going to make immediate impacts in our lineup. And we also bring in some talented freshmen who have good work ethic that are going to, work hard and, work to fill a spot in the lineup eventually as well. So, I just, I think we found a really good group of guys that kind of meet, both aspects. And, it just so happens that they do help, fill a few weight classes that, we have some guys leaving in. So, I think, really excited about the guys that we brought in this year. This is, a pretty good recruiting class for me for year 2. I was, very happy with this recruiting class. And, I think we got some guys who, can make some impact right away. And we've got some guys who, are just going to continue to make sure the program's in the right place for the next 4 years.
Definitely. All right, let's break down the lineup here, start at 25 and go up.
Yeah, I mean, 125, we got Gentry Walston, kind of a mix between sophomore and junior. So he came in 2 years ago, second semester, so didn't really wrestle a whole lot, just kind of practiced. And then last year was his first kind of full season of wrestling. And, I think anybody who's, transitioned from, the high school level to the college level knows that there's a little bit of transitionary period. I think that was last year for Gentry. And I think, now that we've kind of got a full year of, a full competition schedule and kind of understanding, what that's going to look like and what it takes to be successful, I think, I'm really excited for where we can be. He's going to have some great opportunities to wrestle some good competition. Obviously, we compete in a conference that's, really tough wrestling-wise. So he's going to have, a lot of great opportunities to go wrestle a bunch of, tough matches, and we can really see, how much we can grow this year. So I'm excited about Gentry at 125. 133, Lane Scorpel, obviously returning national qualifier, blood round guy last year. He's been to the tournament twice. Nothing short of being at the tournament and All-American this year is what's on the table. So, he's a captain for us, a senior captain this year, and, he's really been pushing to make sure this program is where it needs to be to start the season off on the right note, but also, I think his goals for the program line up pretty closely with mine, and I really like to have that stable piece coming back, and Lane's our guy, and I'm not afraid to say that. He's all about the program in every aspect, and he leads by example, and it's awesome to have Lane, and he's ranked, I think, third in the conference, and I think we have like 6 nationally ranked guys at that weight class. So he's pretty solidified up there. I think 11th in the country right now. So I fully expect us to rise. I don't expect 11 to be where we're at. Obviously, we want to be an All-American. That's top 8 in the country. So I see ourselves there personally. 141, a couple new faces. For the most part, Brody Brisker, is kind of the guy that's kind of rose to the top of the weight class right now. He's a transfer from Southeastern, redshirted last year, so he was down. He's from Iowa. Brother went to Southeastern, followed his brother, and now that he's back in Iowa, I mean he's a hard worker. He does everything right. And I think he's going to be a great piece to really help grow the program over the next 4 years. Obviously, he has 4 years eligibility left, and we think very highly of him. And then we've got some depth at 41. We got a returner, a couple new guys coming in. So I think that's kind of an ever-changing. It's just going to kind of be a battle all year. No spot in our lineup set in stone. So, but we've got Ryan Parton, who's ranked in the conference, and Jacob Perry kind of also fighting for those spots as well. 149, little thin right now, I'd say. We do have a freshman stepping up in the lineup, Luis Garza. He's a natural 149, which I'm excited about. I love, my freshman not, cutting a bunch of weight and trying to, suck down. I've heard some potential about some of our other guys maybe wanting to go up, down. So our lineup's probably just going to kind of be shifting throughout the year. So, where we're at now may be where we end up at the end of the season, may not. But right now, Luis Garza, a freshman, he's from Texas, and I've been very, very happy with what I've seen from Luis. I mean, hard worker, puts his head down, goes to work. Everyone I talk to when they wrestle him, man, he's fast and he's strong. And for being a kind of an undersized 49, if you look at the rest of the country, I think he matches speed and strength pretty well for the weight class. 157, we've got returner, junior, or this is a senior season just because he's going to Iowa State next year with his engineering program. But so junior captain Trent Evans currently, and a junior college All-American Ashton Hayhurst, who transferred in from Triton. So both those guys, expecting both those guys to be in the lineup and contribute to our success. And it's nice to have a couple older guys so we can give guys rest here and there. So to be able to have a couple older guys who, it doesn't matter who I put in there, they're going to go out and get the job done. It's nice because we can give, the others some rest every now and then. 165, a couple freshmen, Jace Parent and Travis Coleman. Jace was a 3-time state finalist in Georgia, so, super excited about kind of the talent level and, the wrestling that, he's already experienced. He's already been in tough matches. He's wrestled at a high level already. So, it's nice that we don't have to put him in those situations before we get to them. So, he's already been there. And then Travis has really impressed me. Just comes from California, which is notoriously a pretty tough state for wrestling. And I've been super excited about what I've seen from Travis. I think he's going to be able to step in and make an impact in our lineup as well. 174, Kendall Pugh. He's a junior from here in Iowa. He was a round away from going to the national tournament last year. We actually had the spot, we were in the wrestleback. We were in the true fourth. I think he had the spot and lost the true fourth match. It stinks, but that's the way that it happens. There's a reason we wrestle those matches. But I fully expect that he's going to be in the national rankings here soon. Should be at the national tournament this year. So I think, especially with the expansion to the national tournament, we're bringing more guys in the NAIA now. There's no reason that, a guy who was on the bubble, fighting for an at-large bid last year shouldn't be at, the national tournament this year. 184, we have a newcomer, LaDanian Gordon. He's, he was a junior college national qualifier from Trinidad State over in Colorado. So he's, he came to us, and we're super excited. His brother is actually competing in conference for a different school. He has a twin brother competing for Missouri Baptist. They look identical. They sound identical. So I think it's going to be funny. We might have to. They're wrestling 2 separate weight classes, but I think when we wrestle them, we might have to bump to make the brothers wrestle. I think that's the right solution. But super excited about him. He came in actually. I was excited because he's kind of green and he's already very talented, super athletic, but green in the sense of like a lot to learn still. And that's really exciting as a coach to find someone who's had success and is super talented and gifted athletically to just be able to like kind of mold and help kind of figure out their style and just continue to build on their technique. So that's what's really exciting about LD. And then heavyweight, Skylar Young obviously with football right now. Football's having a great season, and it's looking like we're going to get him later than we even expected to begin with, or than we got him last year, just because football's going to make a playoff push. And obviously it's looking like they're solidifying themselves currently into kind of a playoff run. And so that's great. That's awesome. If that means I don't get him till second semester because football's going deep into the playoffs, like that's great. So that's one that's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like we're not going to have our starting heavyweight until football's done, but obviously he's doing big things over there with football, so I'm excited for him. So I mean that's kind of top to bottom where we're kind of stacking up.
For sure. Okay, let's break down the schedule a little bit. For the most part, it stays the same. A lot of similar tournaments, obviously duels against conference foes, but you also throw in the Heart Duels, a new format, a new competition that's mid-December, if I recall. So just talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so this really came together with the addition of the 2 new schools to the Heart. We as coaches kind of sat down and said, we don't want to fill up our schedule with all these conference duels. And so we kind of, as a coaching body, decided that we were going to split into a North and South division and kind of duel all the teams in your division, maybe a couple cross duels, rivalry duels. We'll stay the same, and then we'll get together for the Heart Duels, and we'll add 3 additional duels. So basically what that's doing is it's taking those 3 dates that would have taken up our schedule and we're condensing it down to 1 date. Where there's no champion being crowned, there's no Heart awards or anything that are happening, but it is going to be nice to get all the teams there one place, duel the teams that you haven't got to see yet, and obviously we get 3 dates out of 1. We're going to have some good competition. We get Missouri Baptist, Missouri Valley, and Baker is who will be wrestling. All Missouri Valley's ranked nationally. I think Baker might be ranked nationally, and Missouri Baptist is receiving votes. So I think all very talented programs, and I think we're going to be excited to really see where we're at heading into second semester after wrestling those Heart Duels. We'll finish those. We'll get back, and guys are gone. Like it's as soon as we're back, like it's Christmas break. So sending them, getting them out of here, and then hopefully we've got a little bit of kind of urgency after those duels, and we start kind of really hitting it hard second semester, and really preparing for the final stretch of the season.
Right, they don't eat too many Christmas cookies, or Christmas pudding, and turkey and ham and blah blah blah,
right.
All that. So, all right, let's talk about the conference. As always, it's going to begin with Grandview. But where do you figure the Statesmen to fall into the place there? Yeah,
I think they currently got us somewhere around 7th or 8th in the conference, just off preseason rankings. I don't like to look at those preseason rankings. They're skewed a little bit. It's just ranking every wrestler in the conference. Like I said, we've got 4, 5, 6 newcomers that are entering our lineup. None of those guys are where they're going to be as we enter the season. So I'm excited. I think we're going up. We're moving up from where we're at. Last year we finished I think 6th in the conference. So I fully expect, like I said earlier, I want to see growth. I want to see us ahead of where we are. Obviously, you have the staples in the conference, the guys that you're chasing. That's the Grandview. I mean, 12, 13-time national champs. That's the team that everyone in the country's chasing. So obviously, it's nice that we get to have that competition here in conference. We get to see them multiple times. But I think, Missouri Valley's always a pretty talented team. Central Methodist is, kind of rising and becoming kind of a staple in the conference. I think those three teams kind of, make up what is currently the top three. But I think outside of that, it's really who's going to, kind of step up. And I don't think they're even solidified in the top three. I've seen teams who, have been, come into the conference tournament, fifth, sixth, somewhere in there, and finish second in the conference tournament. I've been a part of those teams, so I'm excited to see where we go. Obviously, better than sixth in the conference. I'd like to be fifth or better, top five. Ultimately, I think top three. I feel very, very good about where we're at and where we're moving forward, especially with how young and we're not losing a whole lot of guys at the end of this year. So
sure. All right, as I always do, let's throw a bow on it. What's it going to take for the team to be successful this year?
Yeah, I think
in terms of what you guys have set for goals, I should say.
Yeah, I think doing what we're doing. I mean, the guys have really kind of surprised me with kind of the challenges that I've given them, just kind of hitting them and blowing past them. Try to set benchmarks. Try to set hey, this is what I want to see. This is what I want you guys to look like. This is where I want us to be, and the guys are just kind of flying past those. So I feel really good about where we're at, but I think they just continue, putting the work in, continuing to commit to, not just being successful this season, but making sure the program's going to be successful over the next 3-4 years is, really committing to the culture, really buying into, everything we're asking of them from our coaches and captains, leadership group. The guys do it. They have a smile on their face. They have fun, and I think we keep doing that. I mean, that's always going to be the goal is, show up, score a lot of points, and have fun. And I think as long as guys are doing that, we're going to be pretty successful.
Okay, great. Okay, once again, Drew Sams, our head men's wrestling coach here at William Penn. They open up the season tonight, St. Ambrose, a Hart duel, so an opportunity to see conference competition right out of the gate here over in Davenport. We will not have a home meet until January 9th. Against Waldorf, but a lot of opportunities to stay current with the Statesmen and all Statesmen Athletics on statesmenathletics.com, as well as all of our social media channels, WPU Athletics. So thanks, Coach. Best of luck this season.
Thank you.